Okay, I'm going to try to keep this short. I know that nobody ever believes me, and including myself, when I say I'm going to do something short. But I've already kind of done a whole plannery thing, but I wanted to, last night was the winter solstice. That is my beginning of the year. So planners, I prefer to have planners that start in December so that I can start into whatever form is going on December 21st. This one that I'm going to show you today is kind of a mismatch of that, but it's okay. Next week it will come in full force on Monday. So the last time we talked about planners, I was super stoked about we did sort of setting up of my Hobonichi weeks. And I was so happy to be back in this, but what I ended up finding is it was just not enough room. Like I really wanted to write more about my readings. I just wanted to write more in general. And so I found I was great to have this in December because I was able to say I really love being back in this format. I started to do my weather and I really liked, again, the stickers and how that all worked. But again, it started very quickly. I could tell that I was going to be too cramped for my overall planner in this. The last year, I had two planners. One was the Elephie, which is larger than this, and one was, I don't have it right in front of me because I put those away last night, another larger, a little bit larger than this planner. And so I've just got comfortable, spread out more, and I didn't like being cramped back in. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to get like a wallet cover for this and use this for my wallet and my go-to, any important appointments in there, being able to jot down, lists and things like this, and sort of as my grab and go. So that's what I'm going to do with this. But I found I couldn't shrink back down into such a small size. So I ordered the Hobonichi Cousin, and this is the A5 edition. Now, I don't want to take this cover off, but all I did here was get a Midori A5 cover, clear cover, and I cut a piece of scrapbook paper. I just cut it into two pieces that would fit the front and the back. Kind of put some sticky dots here. This I could change out over the course of the year if I get tired of looking at it. Although really my planner lays out flat all the time, so I'm not usually having it closed. I won't even see this very often. So I don't anticipate I'll get overly tired of it. But if I do, I can easily swap that out. So yeah, I've got everything figured out because I had to kind of figure out what I was going to do with things. And then last night I did my Wheel of the Year, year ahead reading that I do. And I had posted a picture of what I ended up doing in here. And one of the comments, somebody had asked me if I would just show them what a Wheel of the Year. I do Wheel of the Years and year aheads for myself, and I do them for clients. I have for a while. We're in the midst for me of doing lots of year ahead. Mine is slightly different than I do from client, but only in the sense that some people purchase Wheel of the Years, and so that is following the wheel, starting with the winter solstice to the peak of winter, to the spring equinox, to the peak of spring, to the summer solstice, to the peak of summer, to the autumn equinox, and the peak of autumn, right? So it's 8 pulls plus a card of the year, and then I always pull either a geomancy sigil or a rune to go along with that as a supportive yearly energy. So that's generally what a Wheel of the Year is. You're following the seasonal shift, and then a year ahead is following I guess it would be the Gregorian calendar. I'm not sure what you call that, but starting in the fiscal calendar, starting in January. So in that, I pull a card for a tarot card for each of the month of the year, and then a card, and I'll show you this in a minute, and I pull a card of the year, and again, generally either a rune or a geomancy sigil for the year. And then for clients, I pull, that just get the year ahead, I pull quarterly cards. Oops, I need to mute the computer. For clients, I'll pull a quarterly as well. I don't do a quarterly card for myself because I do, the wheel and the year ahead and combine those things together. So I feel like I have all my bases covered. So anyways, I will quick show you what that looks like once I'm getting ready to clear this off my table, and I just wanted to do an update on what I did with my planner. So this year I used for myself the Wildwood Tarot as my deck. I used my beautiful full Anglo-Saxon rune set. My actual rune of the year is down in my space at the moment, but I actually pulled Gar, which is really cool to have pulled, being as that sort of the one that stands outside of the eights with everything revolving around it, which I thought was kind of interesting given that my card of the year is the Blasted Oak. So my yearly energy is down there. So sorry, I don't have that up here, but that is the sort of blasted oak tower energy, but all that energy is being contained and swirling around Gar. It's a very interesting combination. But anyways, so I used the Wildwood Tarot, I used Anglo-Saxon runes. I didn't pull, so this was interesting. I do animals different ways. Sometimes I've chosen it. A lot of times I'll draw an animal for the year. I've done animals for the wheel of the year. That doesn't tend to work as well for me because animal spirit guardians for me tend to come in and out, other than my own guardians, tend to come in and out across the year, through dreams and other things like that. So, but I do like having an animal to work with over the course of the year. I had a strong urge to use whale energy for the year, but then at the end, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pull a random one. I can still work with whale, but I'm going to go ahead and pull a random one. But while I was shuffling the cards to pull my year, all I could see was whales just swimming and hear the sounds of whales. And so I was like, I just stopped. I was like, okay, clearly I'll be working with whale. And I chose, there's two whales in this particular deck, which is the Spirit of the Animals Oracle by Jody Bergsma, but I chose this one because the key term for it was singer. And then I also pulled a grandmother, which I have, Grandmother of the Wild Hills. I know she's Shaman Weaver, but I call them all grandmothers. This not necessarily going to be for the whole year. Grandmothers I usually always work with for at least a month, but sometimes it can go 2 or 3 months. I always know when I'm done working with that particular grandmother, and then I'll pull another one. But I did want to pull one last night, so I pulled her out, and she does represent a message for the year. So those are the things that I pulled. Obviously not here. It was down in my ancestor space and working space. But then it came time, the exciting time, which is to me just as sacred and wonderful as the whole act of setting sacred space and pulling, is to get the planner set to go. So this, again, is the Hobonichi Cousin A5. Now, there is an A6, because I had one year. So this is an A6, which is adorable, and I used this for a reading tracker 1 year. And I did like it for that, but this only this has the year at a glance. It has your year, lined years, months of the year, which I do really like in Hobonichis. It has your month at a glance, and then it has dailies. It doesn't have weeklies, and I must have weeklies. Plus, I have figured out that, again, I wanted the larger size. So that is what I got, is the A5. So this has the 3 years at a glance. I've stuck, this is my friend Patrick's Living Wheel calendar. that I keep up all of the time, but I had him give me the image so I could put a sticker on. You can't read, or I can't read how small it is, but I do like it to be here. This is last year's, and I don't really ever reference last year, so I do like how that looks. I think that was my friend Deirdre's idea. Anyways, this is to this year, and I've tracked all of my classes. So I have dots on here for when I actually have class, when I have weekends off, and then I will also, I'm doing workshops, one day, like 4-hour workshops as well. And so I'm kind of keeping those more free. I do 1 or 2 out ahead. So I will do those in purple once I have workshops planned in for the year. But my first class starting on January 8th is a working with Oracle and making your own Oracle easily there. And then my moves into a reading class and ancestors. So it's going to be a combination of folklore from around the world and continuing to work with ancestors. It's my tarot classes. I'm going to do another of my Walk in the Woods literature class that will start in June, and then I'm doing an OM class in July. August and September will be Lenormand. Well, the end of August we'll go into Lenormand, 2 parts of Lenormand, and then I always end the year with an intermediate runes where we sink into runes with a different way. So anyways, I sat down, mapped out all my classes onto here. It just gives me a good overview of classes, and again, I'll add workshops in as I go. So then you have these, so you have 4 pages with the months or the days of the month going down. I'm using this for bill tracking, especially these are some bills that come out yearly, so those go at the top. I like to go in and check off my bills every single month and make sure. Most of my bills, as probably many people, are automatic, but I like to stay on top of that. And then any tracking, income tracking at the bottom. So that's how I'm using that. People use that in all different kinds of way. This was a little bit much on the stickers, but I love the January, turned out absolutely beautiful. So on my monthly, so I plan in 3 steps. One step is, this is like long-term planning. So I have written in on all of the months in red, any astrological cross quarter, any, stuff like that I want to pay attention to. I put in birthdays and lament days, which are passing days that I want to make sure that I remember. And so I have put all those in for the year. But I also, if an appointment comes up, next month or 2 months down the road, that will go in here. Anything that needs to get dropped in over the course of the month or the year just will get thrown into here. And I'm probably going to go a little more sticker heavy, although again, this was a little bit too much for me, but you can't. This sticker paper you can't pull back up, and I'll show you what I use in a minute. These I actually made for myself. You can buy Cousins or Weeks sticker sets, but that does start to add, and you can get printable, either ones that are not printed and you can just buy them and they'll mail them to you, or you can get printable ones where you can print them out and stick them yourself. But it does start to add up, and I didn't particularly love all of the aesthetics, or I couldn't find them that looked the way that I necessarily wanted them to look. So I just made a template for myself in InDesign so that I can print up all the pieces that I would want for a monthly sticker. And so again, this was a little bit much, but once it was stuck down, it was stuck down, and it's December, so that's okay. But I absolutely love January. So I just got, an images off of Pixabay. And, again, I just kind of made a template. So now every month, all I have to do is drop images into the boxes that are already there and print it off, and to be able to put it on here. Now, up until now, I have my favorite sticker paper to use has been actual labels. This Avery full sheet shipping labels, clear shipping labels, has been my favorite to use in terms of mattness and how it takes the ink and all that kind of thing. I use this for making little mini oracle decks, all kinds of things, and I love it. But the downside is that you get 10 sheets, and in my office store, it's about $17 for 10 sheets. That's a little pricey, especially if I want to be printing a ton of things out, but I do love this. So this is good stuff. It's just a little pricey per sheet. On Amazon, I found this Mako that is laser and inkjet clear labels, and you get 50 of them for about $20-ish. I've seen it fluctuate, you know, 28, 21, 22, seems to stay around there. I'll put a link to this, I'll try to remember to link these in the shop, in the description box below. I am super, super happy with this. It's very matte. I can actually, you can, but it's also transparent. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. So it's very matte. You can write on it really easily, but I wrote these names before I stuck this on because it's got a little box, and you can see the name through it really easily. But it's very, very matte. There's no glare to it. You can see through, especially up here. These would be better on a full color to cover these up, but I don't mind it. I'm not super precious with my calendars. I just like to look pretty, and this works really well for me. So I'm super happy with that paper. You'll see more of it as we go. So those I'm making myself and then just printing them up every month. So that's what my monthly is as anything comes up, it gets thrown in where it needs to get thrown in with some color coding for work, for my own things, for my partner's things, stuff like that. So that's the monthly. So then there are weekly pages. And I'm used to horizontal because the weeks, which is where I had started a couple years, well, I don't know, I can't remember what year it is, but this has a horizontal weekly. And then I went to the Midori Traveler's Journal, which had a horizontal, and then half of the year I did the Coserina or Cocorina, I'm not sure, but that Elifie had boxes, I think, which I didn't like as much. And then the last one that I used had kind of horizontal. So I'm used to the horizontal. So I will say I was a little bit thrown off by the vertical, but I think I've worked it out here. I will see. This will just be next week is the first week. And so obviously if I want to tweak something, then the next week I'll tweak it until I kind of get it just right. But for right now, I just put a bit of washi over the top. I use that washi in my spread over here that we'll talk about. So I just put that up along the top. I put my sticker that I put my direction, which I talked about before. I track the wind direction, temperature, humidity, and that kind of stuff, and left myself room to make any notes that I want to about that. I left this week the time schedule. So I fill out the weekly Sunday. So every Sunday I sit down, check in with my finances, check in with my week ahead. What do I need to accomplish? Take any appointments from the month, what need to go in here. So I don't write in my weeks ahead, right? So just on Sunday, I do the week ahead. So I work off of my monthlies. That will have multiple weeks ahead. But then when I sit down on Sunday, I'll fill in just the coming week of what has to be done, any appointments, anything that's time sensitive, has to be at a certain time. This may get adjusted next week. I'm not sure. Not next week, but the following week. I'm not sure about that. I've never quite done it that way, but I'm going to try it out because you'll see I have the dailies next. So I have that separated in a reasonable amount of time that I would schedule something. And then down here I have to plan YouTube, plan Instagram, which also plans for which also plans for my Facebook because it goes to there, and then any other things social media wise that I want to plan for the week, because I want to be more consistent on planning those things out next year. So I want to have a space for those. And then I have a work box. I use a similar size box with this for weeks, for all the things that I've used, and I have codes for my readings. So I just kind of have a dot with, you know, it's an ancestor reading, or it's a year ahead reading, or it's a, you know, whatever the reading is, so that through I know what readings I have to do throughout the week. And then if I have a class, like I will simply write it at the bottom, you know, week 1 Oracle class or whatever. So that I may shift this up and give myself a little bit more room, but because I use codes for that, it doesn't actually take up that much space. So I'm going to try this next week. I've also put a little section over here for projects. This is just running projects that I want to keep in front of my head and figure out what do I want to do for the week with it. I just want to keep a running projects list. Like if I have to get my Nellie's deck finished. That's a big goal for the beginning of the year. You know, if I'm working on prepping for a class or prepping for a workshop, any ongoing projects I want to just keep in my mind there. And then any to-dos that don't go on a specific day, but I want to accomplish them in the week over here. I might regret this. I did stick a little sticker, and I'll show you the stickers that I have. This is actually a set of stickers that I got from Amazon that are washi stickers that are color based, and I really, well, here, I'll just show them while we're here. They're just this set is just flowers and sort of landscapes, and mostly flowers and landscapes kind of things, but they are in sets of their colors. So these are all kind of yellow based, goldy based, blue based, green based, purple based, orangey based, and kind of this corally color. These are definitely more orange. And so, you know, if you just want I have to trim them slightly. They fit perfectly actually in the week 1, but I just trimmed just a slight bit off so that it fit in there nicely, so that if I don't have a lot going during a particular day, I can come back and sort of add a couple stickers in if I want. But they're washi and they're you know, you can see through. I don't know if you can tell here, but you can actually see through to the grid because it's a washi. So I really like those. So I've just kind of stuck that over there to be pretty. And all of these are printable. Like these I made for myself to print for my weather tracking. I bought these on Etsy. It's from the Planner Spot, and these are just little Facebook, little Instagram, and little YouTube stickers I just printed off. These are from the set that I printed off already. I bought these as well from Planning Coco. I don't know what that says. Planning, I don't know, but these were just little drops and dots and kind of neutral colors that are translucent, so that I can, you know, if there's an important appointment or whatever, I can just cut those off and stick them on. These again, these are on the Avery, but these will from now on I'll be printing on the other ones. So I also have these little ones that I made myself for weather things, and so on and so forth. So these are just stickers that I've printed up myself that I can use for obviously that. And then I also keep, you know, I use a lot of stickers because I make the Sacred Space book. I do paper crafting and different things. But these are Agenda 52. So I have 2 that are kind of in the neutral tones that I like. And I always wait. Again, I got these 50% off the price there, and I will be using these forever. What I like about them is you get random little dots, you get little flags. Up at the top you get little circle dots, which I'll probably use more. I do like these. These are a little bit wide for the Hobonichi, but there's a lot of stuff that I can just pull from. And then they do have like clear ones as well, just to stick here and there for just pretty pops. And then this is this is Joyful Oasis, and this is Farmhouse. And I just like the color tones. They're very similar to the types of tones that I like. So I have 2 of those. Those again will last me forever. So sticker wise, that's what I have. I don't plan to really sticker up my weekly unless it's like after the fact where I've just got a lot of gaps and I want to stick something in, but I plan on kind of setting it like this. And then any extra stickers, you know, again, I've given myself a lot of freedom to put stickers at least on the outer edges, and put kind of pretty stuff on the month. I want to leave this kind of open, but I have a few bits of nice looking stuff. And then again, as I go back, like at the end of the day, if I've got, you know, lots of blank spaces, I can throw a couple pretty stickers in there. That's kind of my plan. We'll see how it goes. So that's your weeklies. Obviously you have weeks. This is one I use to kind of test because I will not be using that at the end of the year. So you have all of your weeks in a section. Then it has this page that is called Turning the Page to a New Year, and it's 2 pages, which I thought was so perfect when I saw it. And so this I use for my Wheel of the Year. I just went into, I use InDesign for work, so I am comfortable with that. So I just went into InDesign, pulled in, I got a set of planner stickers, of sort of wintry planner stickers, printable. So I resized them to the size that I wanted. I took pictures of this was my Wheel of the Year that I laid down, like when I was sitting down on the floor on my tray, a picture of my grandmother, a picture of the my animal card. I have the my rune of the year, and I have my 8 runes down here. I'll probably stick something else in here just to fill that out. Love how this turned out. It's so pretty. And again, I really love this paper because it's matte, it's transparent, it prints really beautiful color on it, but it kind of mutes it down because it's not shiny. So it just looks, I just love the look of it. So that is the Wheel of the Year. So then when you get to the daily pages, each month you get a month page. And so I'm using this to check in with my thing. So what I did is I use an app called Scanner Pro. I have an iPhone. Scanner Pro is something I use for work, or I've used for years. I think it's a subscription now, but when I got it, you could just buy it outright. I've had it for a long time. So I just use it to scan each one of, so I went and scanned each one of my cards of the year, all the, you know, each one of the cards I did, so that, and then I made a, you know, on InDesign, or you could do it on Word or Photoshop, whatever. I got the size that I wanted, and I duplicated my year card 12 times, so I have one for every month. I have one of each of my month cards, my year rune, and my animal card. And then if this month has a, I'm so sorry, Belle is snoring super loud. Isabel Louise. She's so loud. And she always goes right when I start to film. She comes over near me and falls asleep to snore. Anyways, if that month, you know, the solstice has changed, I have the solstice, or whatever my rune of that season is. And then I also found these stickers on, again, on Etsy. And they are for tracking your books. Now you can print it and put like a whole page of them, but I ended up instead cutting them out individually, and so I have them down here, and there's just little blank books where you can write the books that you read that month. But what I'll do is at the beginning of the month, I will kind of jot some little bit of notes of what I think about this card and what I need to focus on. Same thing with this. But then at the end of the month, I like to come back and say, okay, how did this particular card help me over the course of that month? And sort of any retrospective thoughts I will come back into journal in. So I have set this up for all of the months, ready to go. So that is, I'm not going to show you them all, it will get very repetitive, but that is how I have used that month page. And then it goes into the dailies, and this is going to be much more open-ended. You get like 5 little checkbox. Those will have important to do. So when I sit down, that at this point, that will be the night before, or really probably the morning of most often. I'm going to look at my weekly, right? I'm going to look at that day at the week and say, okay, these are my appointments that I have. These are the readings and things like that. Any 5 most important things I've got to get done that day will go up there. This is a time tracker, so appointment for time tracker. This is just running to-do list. I function daily on a running to-do list. Just these are the things that I need to get done. They might get carried over into the next day, but I need to get those things done. So that area is for this. And then I'm kind of leaving this open for my readings because I do like to track my readings, but they've never been able to go in the same all-in-one planner. But because this is a larger planner, and it has dailies, I should be able to do that. So if I sit down and I do a reading for myself, I don't write tons about my reading. I write it, I like to take a picture of it, and I have a Canon Joy because obviously when you're printing these out, you're using a whole 8.5 by 11 sheet. And so I've got to look and see if there's a way to cut it down to smaller sizes and still put it through. I don't know my printer enough to know that. But I do have a Canon Joy that prints thicker sticker paper that if I'm doing an individual reading, which you can see here, and it worked fine. Like this is Hobonichi paper. And so I just printed it out, stuck it on there, but it is much thicker and glossy. But that's probably what I'll use for my actual readings, and then just any notes that I want to. Sometimes if I've already written it out somewhere else, I'll just print off what I've already written so I don't have to re-handwrite it. And so that works fine. So for that, I might do that down here so that I don't want to waste, obviously, a whole sheet of paper or wait and have to do it all. I want to do it and be able to write my notes and stuff that day. So this is kind of reading space and just any doodling or decorative or whatever. It's kind of open space for me. So that's how I also have, I'm going to be going through the runes every single month. Now I messed this month up because of the way that I printed these stickers, which are Anglo-Saxon stickers that I made for myself. I messed up the way that I put them, and so I was doing good. You can see they're in order. And then I started to cut them wrong, and I ended up starting to go out of order. And once this does not come off well, it rips, this thin paper. So I just decided this month was going to be random, but by the end of the month I will have gone through each one of them. But from here on out, they will be I'll be walking through the runes in order daily throughout each of the months, and so that has to do with a runic calendar that I'm working on and working with. So that I made stickers for and stuck them up there. But other than that, I don't plan on really doing any decorating on the daily. And yeah, I said this was going to be short, but it's not. So and that's it. Then the rest of this just goes through the rest of the year. There are some things back here, like I'm going to utilize these for, different business things that I do like to have spreads of. And there's like timetables, there's favorites, there's like your top 100 things, I think, for the year. I don't know what that's for, but I'm going to try to use that for something. Most of this is just Japanese. Here's like a gift list if you want to track. There was something else back here, some main addresses and stuff back here. So yeah, that's how I'm having this set up. So yeah, let me clear the table real quick. Put these away. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous bag for my rooms. I think I showed this on Instagram, but I love it so much. My friend, I call her Deirdre of the Bags. I will put her Etsy shop below. But what I've been using this year, but whatever deck you want to use, I've been using the Tarot de Saint. I keep thinking Croix. I've heard that it's something else, and I've got to look that up again. When I started to do a walkthrough, I figured it out, and now I have forgotten because I didn't write it down. So I see this and I think St. Croix, but that's not how it's pronounced. But that's what I've been using mostly this year. Then sometimes people request certain decks, or I just have a strong inclination to do another deck. like all last year, I did the oak, ash, and thorn. I do like to use slightly small, you know, either just straight up normal size, or this is really great because it's even slightly smaller, because it just makes it fit into my space a little bit. I'll just use this right now. So again, somebody had asked, you know, how do I do a wheel or a year ahead reading? So if it's a wheel reading, obviously you're going to shuffle, 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 pull your, you know, do your split. However, I pull the card from the bottom of the deck for the year card. And then sometimes I do a geomancy sigil. This year I've been doing runes, so I'll pull a rune. These for me are cards that are in support of the whole year. So as you're going throughout the year, you want to step back into that card to help you navigate the year. Now, if it's a wheel year, then it's just going to be 8 cards, right? So you're going to pull a card for the winter solstice. You're going to pull a card for the winter's peak. You're going to pull a card for the spring equinox, and then you're going to pull a card for the spring peak. You can do this festivals if you want. I don't celebrate festivals, so I mostly just go off of the spring, you know, the equinox solstices and the peaks, or the cross quarters. So then you'll pull one for the summer solstice, and for the summer's peak, for the autumn equinox, and the autumn peak or cross quarter. So you've got one for all of the spokes of the wheel, and this is really great for giving you an idea of how energy is going to be flowing over the course of the year, but then also in that season, keeping that card up in front of you in your planner or on your out in your table. I do both. I have them sitting out where I can see them, and then they're also in my planner, so I'm reminded when they change, and think, okay, in this season, how is the Knight of Cups going to help me to navigate this particular season? So that's how, you know, you would lay them out if you're doing a wheel of the year. I've done animal wheel of the years, I've done tarot wheel of the years, I've done oracle wheel of the years. I have been mostly liking to have the runes for myself right now, so that's what I've done for myself. If you're doing a month, it's the same thing. A year ahead, it's the same thing, but you're doing one for every month. So January, February, March, right? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? And I do this a lot. This is right. I'm in the season of year ahead readings, and so obviously I can probably do that, lay it down in my sleep. But now, what again, for myself, I just do the months like that because I do other things to get sort of the broader strokes. But for my clients, what I do is I use the Illuminated Earth Oracle almost always. I find this is great for broad strokes, and so I pull a card for January, February, and March, and this is looking at outer energy that's going to have an impact on your current energy. So January, February, March, April, May, and June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. So that's how I would do it for my clients. For myself, I don't generally do this, but remember, as you saw in my Hobonichi planner, I track outer energies, weather patterns, astrological patterns. I'm pulling cards like that for myself, and I have the Wheel of the Year and my runes. So I have a lot of information about outer energy that I'm tracking all of the time. So I don't tend to pull those necessarily for myself, but I do like to have that information for clients who may or may not track, you know, kind of outer energies. So that is what a year ahead looks like and how you could lay one out. And again, you don't have to use tarot. If you generally use tarot, you can use tarot. You can use oracle cards. You can use runes, rune of the month. I've done that before as well. You know, you can just play around with what is it that interests you and that you want to use for yours, but it's really helpful, and it's helpful to again see a a picture. So going into the year, I've seen sort of a bigger picture of the energy, but it's really useful to touch back into over the course of the year to be able to see what is going on and what is the energy that you should be leaning into so that you can best navigate your month or your season, depending on which cards you're looking at. So I hope this non-short check-in has been interesting and or useful. I did want to show you this too. I do hang up a wall calendar, and last year I did Julia Jeffrey's calendar as well. It just hangs up. I don't really write anything on this. This just literally hangs up for me. But I got her new Stone Maiden one, which I'm super stoked about. Because some of the artwork is for, if you follow her on Facebook, she's making a deck. I think it's called The Witch's Sister, but I could be entirely wrong, so just ignore me. But some of the images from that are in here as well, and I'm anxiously anticipating that deck. Plus, I love her Tarot of the Hidden Realms. So it's just got to be one of those things where I like to have this. And again, I don't write on this at all. It just hangs up. I like the art on my bulletin board. And if I'm over on my printer area and I just need to reference a date, it is right there. So I do like to have it. But you can order these from her Etsy shop. But that's another calendar that I do keep. I just don't, again, I love that. I don't really, it's not a working calendar, it's just there because it's beautiful and so I can reference dates. So that would be the other calendar that I use. Okay. I hope that you had a lovely winter solstice if you celebrate, or whatever it is in your part of the world. And I hope that you have a lovely holiday. I'm sure I'll be on before Christmas time doing something. But if not, have a happy holidays and a wonderful new year.